What's going on, everybody? Grady here for another video, and today we're going to be talking about the Jaguar Type 00. I have not made a video talking about cars for over 2 years, and so the fact that this car brought me back into discussing cars means that it did its job, I will say. If you haven't been following already, Jaguar has been on quite the rebranding the last couple of days here, and they just released the Type 00 here today, and boy oh boy is it something controversial. It is a concept at the end of the day, looking at some of the press photos here and everything. I will say personally, this is just my humble opinion, I think this was all the right move. To give you a little bit of context, Jaguar rebranded itself as sort of this copy nothing type mentality with really bold colors, really bold branding, a very obscure logo. And so I think that that's really has made waves in the world of cars. And so I would say in that regard, it has worked, better or worse. We don't know. And I think that's the most hotly debated thing at this point. However, taking a quick look at some of the information, I have to say personally, I'm a fan. I think that at the end of the day, if the Cybertruck has told us anything about the world of cars, is that people are willing to pay for different. Because I think in a big world that we live in, everything being very homogenous and everything basically being all the same, there's really just not anything out there that separates us from the next person. I always think about there was a famous posting on one of the large automotive media outlets talking about the top 10 best-selling SUVs, and everything looked like a white egg at the end of the day. And so, like I mentioned, things like the Cybertruck, although once again a pretty controversial thing in its appearance, it looks like nothing else on the road, so people find success in it being different. I say the Jag is no different. Do I like the way that they position themselves as a company? Maybe not necessarily, but do I believe that it was the right thing to do to maneuver themselves away from sort of that luxury sport James Bond type personality? I think so, because that's reserved for Aston Martin, maybe even Bentley a little bit, if you're talking kind of the old money sport look. I just don't think the market's really large enough for anything like that, for having so many brands, Jaguar, Bentley, Rolls-Royce, Aston Martin, all these. They kind of all sort of meld into this strange world of cars, and I think that where Jaguar has taken themselves, although, once again, I reserve the right to say that it's not really where I would have gone in terms of, especially with the colors and sort of that tone. I do believe in their mindset of the copy nothing mentality, where if you just put yourself out there to be truly like nothing else on the road, you are going to attract people that are different and want different. And so, looking at some of the photos here, the Type 00, one of them is in this crazy pink color, another in this really, really cool blue. With looking at the rear of the vehicle, it's the taillight structure isn't even taillights. It's this just long light bar from top and bottom, which the world of light bars has really been, I think, overused in the last couple of years. And I would say that something like this actually works. It actually gives me something to look forward to, something to be excited about, and that it's just trying new things to be ultimately expressing something different. Also, looking at the front and rear grills, and keep that in mind, it's just got these very long horizontal strakes that cut across the bumper to sort of create that impression of a large grill with the Jaguar logo in its funky spelling and the way that it's oriented. We'll talk more about that in a second. The car creates quite a presence. I do not doubt that whatsoever. This is something that needed to absolutely rock the automotive world, for better or worse, because nothing was happening. Nothing was really existing in the world of Jaguar. No one really talks about it, and that's just not something that this brand can have to survive, because they are a long-standing name. They've been around for a long time, and like I said, for better or worse, I think this was the right thing to do. One of my favorite details is looking at things like the door handles, where it's simply just a piece of metal that gets pressed out into your view with the original Jaguar logo, or leaping Jaguar, that I would say looks very cool. I think that still keeps a little bit of the name, the brand identity in some capacity with that. Like I said, this is still a concept car, so we will see where it all ends up, but they are saying that it's going to really resemble this design language, and I embrace it personally. I really do feel that something like this, as absolutely controversial as it is, not the prettiest thing in the world, but it is crazy looking, and I can respect crazy looking, because I'm so tired as a young automotive enthusiast who's just starting to get into the world of their life, where I can start to enjoy the cars that I really want to own, and I've always wanted to own for years and years. I'm finding that the next generation of those of the 2025 2030s, that whole coming generation, everything just looks the same. It's crazy to me how that all ends up. Everything just starts to blend together, and even me, who's someone who has been in this industry their entire life, still has trouble deciphering certain vehicles. This is unmistakable. From the tapered roof line to these large wheels to the absolutely slab-sided front and rear, it just looks like nothing else. It really does. And, they're trying to position themselves as this sort of hyper luxury vehicle, kind of going after things like Rolls-Royce, definitely upper echelon sort of market. And, I will say that's going to be a little bit complicated, because you're going to find yourself in a position where the brand is everything. And although, yes, I agree with their copy nothing mentality, the actual approach in terms of the colors that they use, the advertisement that they have released thus far, really does not put me in the right frame of mind, in that this exudes luxury, exudes class and expensive, because no doubt it looks expensive. Man, imagine that car in black. I think that would look crazy cool. But these bright colors, it's funky, it's sporty, but it's not really special. It's just wild, in the same way that I view the Cybertruck. So, this is definitely something that is going to really pique my interest more as this story progresses. Like I said, I have not gotten into talking about cars for the better part of 2 years, and I was just watching a few videos discussing it, and it drove me so much so that I was like, I need to make a video talking about this. I've been embedded into making my watch review videos, and that's been a blast. But this makes me excited about cars again. It's when a brand says, you know what, screw it. We're just going to go and do whatever we can to try to stand out. Not saying it was executed perfectly, but I got to give them a little bit of credit for trying. So thank you so much for just getting to know a little bit more about this vehicle, get some updates. I will absolutely be following this story as it progresses, as more information comes out, and hopefully a production version comes out, because I would love to check it out in some way, and love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. I can only imagine that the comment section is going to be quite wild when it comes to something like this, because that's what it was made to do. It absolutely turned the automotive industry on its head, and you know what? I can't fault them for that. So hope each and every one of you have a great rest of your day, and hey, stay awesome.